right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners. We have the one, the only, the legendary. We have Grandmaster Caz on the line. How you doing this evening?
Peace and love. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I know you're a very busy guy, so I'm just going to jump directly into this interview. But I have to ask you, Caz, what made you decide to get into the music industry?
Well, I had no intentions on getting into the music industry. I got into the culture of hip hop. All right, and that was prior to the music industry. So basically, it was a cultural thing that was going on in the neighborhood, and I grasped onto it in the early days. Well, in its infancy, basically. So I became one of the people involved in its infancy, and I've been a proponent of the culture ever since.
And you were also one of the very, very first individuals to ever get into hip hop as well, man. In the early 70s, you actually teamed up with DJ Disco Wiz and formed one of the very first DJ crews called the Mighty Force. I have to ask you, can you tell us a bit more about the Mighty Force and what made you guys decide way back then to actually create the very first DJ crew?
Well, actually, I don't know if we were the first DJ crew, but I know once I got into the culture and I wanted somebody to be down with me, and of course, you always navigate toward the people that are closest to you. So my best friend at the time in high school was my partner, Disco Wiz, so I taught him, or I showed him what I was doing as far as music and DJing and hip hop, and he became a part of it as well. So we became a duo, and I guess maybe one of the first, groups or organized crews in hip hop. But we didn't have aspirations to be the first of anything. We just wanted in.
And as for the Mighty Crew, like how long were you guys going for? Was it just a couple years, or is our Mighty Crew still going on today?
Well, the Mighty Force, I mean, is just the beginning of a plethora of crews that I went through before I got to where I wanted to be or where I needed to be as far as hip hop. The Mighty Force was the first step. So you know what I mean? I mean, Disco Wiz went away, and then I had to kind of reinvent myself and start over. So I started recruiting MCs and other DJs, and that's when we actually built the Mighty Force.
And also, while I was doing my research for this interview, you are also known as the very first hip hop artist to perform both DJ and MC, so record and vocals. Record and vocal duties. I have to ask you, tell us a bit more about that. And did you think at that current time that it would actually spark like that?
Well, in all honesty, I can't claim, and I never have claimed to be the first person to perform multiple elements in the culture of hip hop. If you were a DJ in the early days of hip hop, the next natural element, of course, was the microphone, because all DJs had a microphone at first just to make announcements that were relevant to the party where the DJ was performing next, or if someone's car was double parked outside or something like that. Once the microphone came more into play and became a proponent of hip hop, then other people that specialized in just that element started getting included into the culture. But me as a DJ, the microphone was always prevalent. So I always served a dual purpose in my parties as DJ and master of ceremonies.
And also, in the late 70s, you joined the Cold Crush Brothers. Can you tell us a bit more about that? And of course, what's the story? How did you guys get connected?
Well, Tony Tone, who started the Cold Crush Brothers, was the equipment man for DJ Breakout and the Brothers Disco and the original Funky Four. When Tony Tone decided to branch off and start his own crew, he had discovered a Puerto Rican DJ who played breakbeats, and that was Charlie Chase. So Tony decided to build his own group around Charlie Chase, and then they decided to started to um, recruit MCs to become part of the consortium of what would eventually become the Kool Herc brothers. Easy AD was the first recruit, KG, then, and then JDL and myself, as far as the Kool Herc that the world knows. But prior to that, the Kool Herc has been in existence a couple of years before the actual formation of the Kool Herc brothers that the world knows. There were different members coming in and out of the Kool Herc camp before myself, JDL, Easy 8, and KG became the Kool Herc 4.
And the one thing I do want to touch base on with you as well is because, as we all know, you were a legendary individual within the hip hop industry. And I read actually many reports that Will Smith, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, and Jay-Z actually include you as their influences that got them into hip hop. How does that make you feel to actually be to influence such legendary individuals in the hip hop industry?
Well, it means everything, because at the end of the day, once you tell your story in hip hop, it's not about the fact that you were there, or the fact that you had turntables, or you rocked a mic, or you did graffiti, or whatever. At the end of the day, it's all about the influence that you had on others, and who took your influence and ran with it forward. And at the end of the day, that's all you got. You know what I mean? And for me, that means everything. So for a Big Daddy Kane to say the most important influences in his life were his dad, and myself, and another person, I mean, means volumes. For Jay-Z to say, you know what I mean, time and time again, that I, Grandmaster Caz, the Kool Herc brothers, were one of his influences in hip-hop. For Rakim to say that, for Big Daddy Kane to say that, means everything. Because at the end of the day, if you don't remember me or you don't remember us, you definitely remember them. And they'll tell you explicitly that we were a big part of their maturation and a part of their growth as far as hip-hop is concerned. So your influence on others means everything at the end of the day.
And I most definitely agree on that. That is most definitely some real talk right there. Influence is key. And you are also the CEO of GMC Entertainment Inc. How did that come to be, and what services do you currently provide for the general public?
Well, GMC Entertainment is basically my business entity. It's basically Grandmaster Caz Entertainment. It's everything that has to do with Grandmaster Caz and my business dealings. Moving forward, I hope to define the company and its roles in bigger in a bigger aspect than just myself. But I'm the person that basically fuels GMC Entertainment. My lectures, my shows, my consultations with other entities, and people who call and just need advice. That's what GMC Entertainment is about. I connect the dots in hip hop.
And speaking of connecting the dots, in the year 2008, so we're jumping ahead a little bit here, but you were a participant at the Cornell University Library Conference on Hip Hop. I have to ask you, can you tell us a bit more about that particular event, and how did that come to be for you?
Well, Cornell University has the largest hip hop collection in Northern America, and I was approached by them through my brother Joe Conzo, who is known as the man who took hip hop's baby pictures. Joe Conzo has been the photographer for the Kool Herc brothers since our inception, and his photos have gotten worldwide recognition since then. So Cornell, once they wanted to start a hip hop collection, they were enamored by Joe's photos, his images, and Joe was one of the first people that they contacted through another collector named Johann Kugelberg. of our engagement into Cornell started. Mine in particular started when they were interested in my collection. And my collection as far as documents, contracts, my rhyme books, my original rhyme books, which are in the Cornell Hip Hop collection, and pretty much everything Grandmaster Caz. So I thought it was important to place these articles into a place where they would be, housed forever, and they would create an archive where other people that wanted to study hip hop and study hip hop's pioneers and innovators could come to. So that's why I thought it was important to donate my collection to Cornell, and I still believe that it's one of the best places to go to be able to research hip hop and look through actual artifacts of hip hop's pioneers. It's not just a museum. It's not just you go looking at people's outfits and people's stuff. It's like actually being able to research those people, and that's why I think Cornell was important, and that's how I got involved.
And that's also a good thing as well, because many, many years from now, even when both of us are gone, people can still go back and see the legacy of Grandmaster Caz and the people that actually came before and after you as well. It's actually a really good thing. So many years from now, people are still going to know your name.
I thought that was important because my works, Crazy Legs works, Africa Bambaata's works, Joe Conzo's works, and many other hip-hop artists' works are archived by the Cornell University Hip-Hop Collection and will be there, for years to come. And a lot of times, we don't understand the importance of the work that we've done, throughout this culture. We are part of it. And when you're in it and when you're actually doing it, you don't have the time to look at it from an outside perspective. But from an outside perspective, all of this is worth archiving. It's all worth saving. It's all worth preserving for future generations that would like to have a better understanding of the hip-hop culture, of its pioneers and its proponents. So that's why I thought it was important to leave a lot of my stuff in that particular collection.
And speaking of being remembered from years from now, you were also were inducted into the DJ Hall of Fame. I have to ask you, what was that experience like, just being able to actually be inducted into the Hall of Fame of DJs?
Well, I think it's a testament to people's acknowledgement of exactly my roots in this culture of hip hop. Commercially, I'm basically known as an MC. My notoriety started to really grow around the group era. The Kool Herc brothers. And even though I was the standout MC out of the group, a lot of my notoriety is based on the group. So I thought it was important that people had an extra view into my career, into the dedication that I've had for this culture prior to the Kool Herc brothers, during the Kool Herc brothers, and after the Kool Herc brothers. Okay, so I don't want my legacy to be defined by no one particular entity, since I've entertained and I've been a part of so many different entities, and continue to be, the Kool Herc being one of the biggest. And so that's where a lot of people recognize me as an MC, but my roots and my foundation in hip-hop come from being a DJ.
And the one thing I always wanted to ask you, because you're one of my inspirations to actually wanting to become a DJ, and I've always wanted to know this before we move off the topic of you being a DJ. Who influenced you to actually become a DJ, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I in my formative years, as far when hip hop started, when the first documented hip hop party was done, August 11th, 1973, by DJ Kool Herc. And if there was one prior to that, a lot of us had no idea of it. I lived up the street. I lived in walking distance to 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. And when that first party was done in 1973. It happened right up the block from where I live. So was I at that party? No. I was 13 years old. You know what I mean? I wasn't old enough to go to like parties and stuff like that. But the energy surrounding that party and everything that came from it resonated throughout my neighborhood. So I caught it firsthand. So of course, my early influences were going to be the first people I heard DJ, which was DJ Kool Herc. Kool Herc lived, I lived up the block from Kool Herc. So when that party happened in '73, I lived up the street. I didn't go, but my cousin went, my big brother went. You know what I mean? It brought back the news of the party and the sensation of the event, the records that were played at that party, that people brought those home or recognized what they were and started playing them at house parties. So that really kind of lit the spark for what eventually would become hip-hop. And yes, I was very much at the forefront of that.
And also, like I said, you have an illustrious career, and the one award that I actually noticed that you actually won, which in my eyes it's actually really huge. You were actually inducted in the Bronx Walk of Fame in 2008. I have to ask you, how does it feel to actually be immortalized within your actual home city?
Well, it means everything. It's just a validation. It's just a badge of validation that says, the people that where you come from recognize your contributions to this culture. And, it all starts at home. You know what I mean? If you never reach the notoriety that some artists reach, to have worldwide recognition or to have done something commercially that the entire world recognizes, at least, where you come from recognizes the foundation and the contribution that you made to this culture. And I think that's so very important for me to be able to walk up the Grand Concourse and to look up and see my name on the Bronx Walk of Fame. I do a hip-hop sightseeing tour. For 18 years I've been doing this, and we've taken over 2 million people from around the world to the Boogie Down Bronx, the birthplace of hip-hop, to Harlem, and show them the birthplace of hip-hop, show them the origins and the places where hip-hop was permeated. And for me to be at the forefront of that, it just kind of galvanizes, you know what I mean? Not only my commitment, but my place in this culture called hip-hop.
And also in 2015, you were actually featured on a single by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis named Downtown. I have to ask you, how did you get connected with them? And what was it like working with those individuals? Because I do know like they're the newer artists within hip hop.
Well, actually, Big Daddy Kane was the conduit between that, making that happen. Big Daddy Kane had a relationship with Macklemore's manager, and when Macklemore came up with this idea to do this song, but he wanted an old school feel on the hook, Kane connected him to the people that he wanted to feature, which was Kool D, Melly Mel, and myself. Once that happened, we connected with Macklemore. We went out to Seattle. We listened to the track. We found out the role that he wanted us to play in the entire project. We agreed. It happened, and then it just blossomed from there. So shout out to Macklemore, of course, Ben and Ryan Lewis, who had the vision to incorporate us into a project. And you got to understand, this was their sophomore album. These guys' first album, they secured Grammys. So it's not like they needed us for validation. They had already won. Okay, so, that just goes to show their insight as far as I want this hip-hop sound, and I know where I got to go to get it from. And they came to us, and I'm glad they did. It's my first platinum album ever, my first MTV
I do want to just touch base on that quickly, Cass. I do want to tell you, man, that you most definitely deserved a hell of a lot more platinums than that one with Macklemore, man. You, like I said, you're solidified within the hip hop industry. You helped put together so many legendary classic records, man. So I do want to say, man, you deserved, you most definitely deserved a few platinums way before the Macklemore one.
Thank you, brother. And I think that had had the whole debacle with the Sugar Hill Gang went the way it was supposed to be, then that would have been my first platinum record.
And one thing I do want to ask you, Cass, what's next for you? Is there any projects you're currently working on you want to let our listeners know about? Anything else I forgot that you would still like to promote?
Well, like I said, I've been doing the Hush Hip Hop Sightseeing tours for 18 years now, and because of COVID-19 and the restrictions that have been put on our society because of it, our tours have had to stop. We put people from around the world on a 28-passenger bus, take them throughout Harlem and to the Bronx, and show them about the culture of hip hop. So if there's any worse incubation situation that could occur, that would be it. So of course our tourism business has been shut down. Not just our business, but all tourism. Is pretty much shut down, and all businesses that are related to tourism have suffered because of this COVID pandemic. But I try to stay busy. I try to stay creative. I just put out a new set of T-shirts and hats and merchandise, all related to the culture of hip hop, the foundation of hip hop. It's called Caz Tees. And you can go to gmce.veryinkpressive.com and check out my site and check out what we got to offer online. That and just continuing to write and be creative and do projects that come in. I did about 3 projects just online. Artists from Switzerland. My dude, DJ King Slade, just sent me a project that I'm going to be involved with, and my boy Razor EB3, who's another family member of the Hush Tours family, and also a hip hop artist. I've been doing projects with them as well. So I'm just trying to stay busy, stay creative, keep the pen flowing, to when things finally open up. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. You got to admit though, the internet is a great tool as well. It helps most definitely put some bread on the table, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic when a lot of individuals can't go to the studio, so they just hit up the email and be like, "Hey, Cass, I want you on my record." You know what I mean? It works out for everybody.
Yeah, and I encourage that. You know what I mean? I've been doing that before the COVID pandemic came on, and I just think that now it's even a more it's a more necessary vehicle for us to continue to be able to collaborate with each other. Because right about now we don't have to go into the studio together anymore. Just send me the track. I'll put the vocals. I'll send it back to you. You put your vocals on, and we keep it moving. So we keep the creative process going, and we keep the collaborative process going as well.
So, Cass, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that comes on the radio station. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And if you can, drop your social media handles, and if you want to as well, your email. That way individuals can follow you and also hit you up for a collaboration if they're listening and they're interested.
I appreciate that. Well, of course, Instagram, I'm the real Grandmaster Caz. On Twitter, I'm Grandmaster Caz. On Facebook, I'm Caz Brown. Okay? My Cash App is $GMCENTINC. Okay? And pretty much, I mean, you can get at me. I'm not one of those reclusive hip-hop artists that people can't get in touch with. All my info is available on my social media, be it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever. You can find out how to get at me any otherwise, be it email, just direct telephone. Um, you know what I mean? But right now, I think it's important that we stay inclusive and we're able to be able to contact each other and be able to work with each other besides everything that's going on. So anybody want to holler at Caz, I'm there, baby.
And I do got to say quickly before I let you go, Cass, when I said in the interview that you were actually one of my inspirations on becoming a DJ, you know, you actually inspired me to actually get into scratching and whatnot. So I do want to say just thank you so much for the years among years of amazing hip hop and everything you brought to the table. Just thank you so much, and thank you for being not only an inspiration to me, but to also millions upon millions of individuals that listen to hip hop daily around the world.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate your sentiments. And like I said, the biggest thing to me, I mean, if you judge hip hop on commercial success, then I'm a failure. But if you judge hip hop on influence and what you've done to make others succeed, then I'm the king. Okay, and I take both roles. You know what I mean? As they come. I appreciate all the artists that have come after me, that have been influenced, by me, and that have gone on and created greatness out of this culture and out of this industry.
And I gotta say, Cass, thank you so much again, and most definitely be safe out there during this terrible pandemic. I hope down the road we can make this happen again, but for now, have yourself a wonderful night. Thank you so much.
Peace and thanks.